So the Second Amendment, secures the right for American citizens to bear arms. And I don't know if there could be a more contentious topic outside of political conversations that people seem to have. There are people who love guns in every form and shape, and then there are people who hate guns in every form and shape. But I think one conversation point that transcends those two categories of people is being responsible in gun ownership and specifically in gun storage. Because even if you don't like guns, the reality is there are more guns in circulations than there are people in the United States. So guns exist. Ensuring that people are safe as gun owners should be something that people who do not like gun ownership and people who love gun ownership should absolutely agree upon. It makes both parties safer, regardless of your beliefs. The first stat that shocks me when you start researching gun ownership is that 50% of gun owners do not own a safe. They do not possess a place where they can put an item that is purposefully designed to kill. And you'll often hear people talk about weapons. You'll say, well, they're designed to protect. And that's an intellectually dishonest conversation or talking point, because weapons are designed to end life. And it doesn't weaken your argument if you admit that. I actually think it strengthens the argument for responsible gun ownership. Most gun owners are incredibly responsible, but if you're like myself, all three of my kids are very versed with weapons. And for as long as they've been able to speak, if they've ever had questions about guns, I will bring a gun out. We will talk about it. I will let them manipulate the weapon under my supervision. They will list me the firearm principles, treat all guns as if they are loaded. Never point it in a unsafe direction. Never put your finger on the trigger until you intend to pull the trigger or your sights are aligned on something that you would want to kill. So I'm not worried about my kids, but my kids have friends. And I remember being their age, and curiosity, when you start talking about an environment that involves weapons, literally and figuratively can kill the cat. So how do you avoid that? Safe and secure storage. If you're going to spend $1,500 to $10,000 on a rifle, you need to also think about budgeting, let's say, a quarter of that to buying a safe or creating an environment where you can safely secure your weapons. Never leave a weapon in an unsecured location. Positive control is the term that we used to use in the military. I either had positive control of my weapon, meaning I am physically located where it is, or I have my hands actually on it, or it is put somewhere where it is designed to be stored. Overseas, that's going to be a ready-go locker or a mobile armory. Separating ammunition and your weapon itself. Always a good idea. Right now I have this magazine loaded, and I have this magazine loaded because I was getting ready to go out on a hunting trip. I do not generally leave magazines that are loaded near my hunting rifles because it's not something that I'm going to need at a moment's notice. If I'm going to break out a gun and do cleaning or maintenance on a weapon, or perhaps I'm going to modify what optic I have on top of it, the last thing that you want to have is an administrative workstation with live rounds interjected into that situation. Accidents happen, and they most often happen due to complacency. One of the best things that you can do is, if you're going to be doing work on a weapon that doesn't involve firing the weapon, keep all live ammunition away. Only bring the live ammunition when you're actually going to be actively firing the weapon. One of the best pieces of advice that I would give to those of you who own weapons and have young children is do your best to remove the mystique around firearms. They're not a Harry Potter wand. They're not magic. They're incredibly powerful tools that absolutely can be used to protect and sustain life if they are in the appropriate hands with the appropriate intent. Don't make them a magical object. Sit down, have conversations. Talk about the severity with mistakes when it comes to weapons. Talk about safe weapons handling, and allow people who are curious about guns to control them and touch them for the first time in that controlled environment. And all you're going to be doing when it comes to a gun culture or a society with weapons is slowly and incrementally enhancing that safety, which again bridges the gap between those who love guns and those who hate guns.